Hello, I'm Mike Leeworthy, and I'd like to invite you to join me walking the fabulous Mornington Peninsula walk. Because it's a circuit walk, you can hop on or hop off where suitable, but today we're starting in Dromana. Visitors coming from Melbourne can arrive by public transport and start the walk either from the Dromana Pier or the Information Centre in Point Nepean Road. About a kilometre from the Information Centre, you'll find the Bonnarong Track. The track is named after the original inhabitants, the Bonnarong people. The Aboriginal name for Arthur's Seat was Wonga. The 314-metre climb will lead us to the Sea Winds Gardens. These eastern grey kangaroos enjoying the morning sun are a common sight on Arthur's Seat and as well as in Sea Winds Gardens. Not so common are the black wallabies, but they are there. The first British explorers entered Port Phillip Bay in 1802 and subsequently named the hill Arthur's Seat due to its resemblance to Arthur's Seat Hill in Edinburgh, Scotland. Captain Matthew Flinders was the first European to scale Arthur's Seat. This cairn was built in his name. At 314 metres, Arthur's Seat can often be in cloud. Unfortunately, in 1938 and 1942, because of that cloud, 2 aircraft crashed into the hill, killing the pilots and passengers. Sea Winds Gardens occupies 34 hectares of the Arthur's Seat State Park at the summit of Arthur's Seat. The gardens offer spectacular views of Port Phillip and the Mornington and Bonnarong Peninsulas from the lookouts. Green's Bush became a national park in the 1980s, a joint purchase between the Victorian government and the federal government from the Green family, and we are lucky to have it. Green's Bush is the largest remaining bushland expanse on the peninsula. You'll come across abundant wildlife, especially birds. Honeyeaters, parrots, wrens, wedge-tailed eagles, and the black-shouldered kites. The native grass trees are a particular attraction of the area. Some of the taller ones are over 200 years old. Coming up to our campsite for the night, Lightwood Creek. Very welcoming. The campsite has toilets and water. Always boil your water, and definitely no fires. Well, after a peaceful night's sleep, I'm on my way to Bushrangers Bay. In 1853, two convicts, Henry Bradley and Patrick O'Connor, hijacked a schooner near Circular Head on the northwest of Van Diemen's Land and forced the captain to take them to the Australian mainland. Once on land, the two convicts made their way to Melbourne, causing all sorts of mayhem along the way. They were eventually caught and were hung in the old Melbourne jail. Cape Schanck was named after Captain John Schanck of the Royal Navy in 1839 by Lieutenant James Grant while in command of the majestic Lady Nelson, and I always thought it had something to do with lamb shank, but I'm a vegetarian, so what would I know? Pulpit Rock, you can see in the background, has been the subject of many paintings, particularly by Eugene von Gourard in the 1850s and more recently by contemporary landscape artist Liam Waldie. The coastal track is over 30 kilometres long, and unfortunately there are no public campsites here. You will need to make your own arrangements re your accommodation. Passing St Andrews and getting closer to Sorrento, there are quite a few diversions like Diamond Bay, the Bay of Islands. Really quite beautiful. Who needs the 12 Apostles? Every now and again you see limestone that's been laid on the paths. This goes back to the 1800s, and it was laid under the guidance of George Coppin. More of him later. Sorrento is underlain by limestone, and along with much of the western Mornington Peninsula, it was exploited for the Melbourne building trade, particularly after the gold rushes. Limestone has also been used for local building masonry. Moving on now towards the pointy bit, that is Point Nepean in Portsea. Apart from lime burners and fishing as industries, a quarantine station was built at Point Nepean in 1859, mainly with the fear of plague ship passengers in mind. Sounds familiar? A school was opened in 1855. During the late 19th century, the government decided that Victoria's rich goldfields needed protection. Fort Nepean became an important defence post. Many military fortifications were built, making Port Phillip one of the most heavily defended harbours in Australia. The first shot of the British Empire in the First World War and the first Australian shot of World War II were fired here. Rye Pier and all the piers in Port Phillip Bay were built for a specific purpose, to cater for the ferries coming from Melbourne. The ferries would bring supplies to the settlers and also take the lime to Melbourne for the building industry. In peak season, the foreshore is jam-packed with holiday makers, caravans and tents. Some families have been coming here for decades. And why not?